All right, and I think we are live. Hey everyone. Yep, I literally just went live. And here comes Jimmy.
Alright,
Boom,
baby.
there you go.
What are we talking about?
I have no idea, but we're
You want to talk about relationships like we did for the last 2 hours?
Oh yeah, so I walk in. We're going right into it. There's Tatiana. So, okay. So let's start with Jimmy and I are in Riga, Latvia. We are here for the Baltic Honey Badger Conference, which starts tomorrow. We are right now. This is the pre-party. We have Stacy Herbert right there taking a picture of us. Max Kaiser is right there. There she is. There's Max.
There's the camera.
You got the camera right there. It's facing a little bit that way. Everyone is congregated over there. This is pretty much everybody else. You can see them back there. But Jimmy and I are gonna go out for steaks in a bit. And yeah, so I walk into this hotel. I was in Ukraine last night. Walking into this hotel, and Jimmy is chatting away with Tatiana, and they were actually doing a podcast about relationships. And
Proof of love. Yeah.
Tatiana's podcast, Proof of Love. And that was like, you guys went off like an hour and a half.
Oh, easily. Yeah, we went, I think the whole thing with you at the end and stuff, it was like 2 hours.
Yeah. And I threw in my 2 cents there. I don't know if I'm qualified to speak on our podcast, but it's a huge difference in contrast. Jimmy is a married man, and I am not. So good content for Tatiana. Hey, so Jimmy, you just came back from Israel.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
were in Tel Aviv for the Scaling Bitcoin conference. How was that? Tell me about it, because I was in an equally important event for Bitcoin, the Black Blockchain conference. So tell us about scaling in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, so it was 2 days of Dev Edge where they train a lot of developers and stuff. So I was there for that. I trained people for a good 3 hours, and then they went on and got trained in a lot of other stuff. And then we ate lots of meat. There was the actual Scaling Bitcoin conference. Lot of interesting papers. I think Giacomo put it interestingly. There were a lot of shitcoiners that came that were presenting ideas at this conference, which Giacomo took as sort of a bullish sign, because like,
well, wait a minute, that happened in San Francisco as well. That's why I really didn't like the conference.
But I mean, do you remember 2017? That was a pretty big bull market.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's his point. But I don't know what happened in 2018, so it's hard for me to say. But some interesting papers. I think Jeremy Rubin's Hold the Bag is interesting.
What is that?
It's an opcode that lets you essentially make a transaction with like 1 million outputs, and it's up to the person receiving it to sort of pay the fee. So it's good for exchanges and stuff like that. And it's totally provable and things. It requires a soft fork, but it's a really cool concept. Giacomo was telling me about this other one that's sort of like Lightning, but it doesn't use hash time lock contracts, but instead uses some it lacks atomicity, but you can do something with the dollar or some sort of DeFi-ish thing. And it was presented by an altcoiner, so Giacomo was like, I was dead set against it, but what he actually said actually made some sense. So he's not quite sure the use case is really there, but the actual ideas and the way it was presented makes some sense. Yeah, so a lot of different ideas being presented there. Obviously a lot of people. I saw like Vitalik there and Chris Pacia from Bcash. Yeah, Chris Pacia from Bcash was there.
Yeah. I debate with him at the Pork Fest in New Hampshire all the time.
Yeah. So there's a decent number of people like that, but I mean overall it was mostly maximalists. I don't know if you saw the T-bone, the tomahawk. The double tomahawk.
Did you eat both of those?
So I ate one whole one,
right?
And then Cali Wolf, or Carl Johan, who's a core developer out of Japan, he had one, but I think he ate about 2/3 of it. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I can't finish it, so I finished it for him.
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna go find the steak place later.
Yeah.
I
But
got,
those were 1.1 kilogram steaks, which I think is around 36, 37 ounces, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I think 1 kilo was the most I've taken down.
I mean, I've done 72 ounces, which is I think 2
That's
points.
about 2, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
2 kilo.
yeah. I've done that. That was hard, but yeah, 1.4-ish. I think I'd say that's about how much I ate this time, which tasted awesome. That was like we picked like the perfect restaurant, man, because they were like, hey, we have a relationship with the biggest grower of cows in Israel, and they were like, okay, here's so we could really feed you. 3 of us ordered tomahawks. He's like, okay, we're out of tomahawks now. That'll be all 10.
Yeah, we were like when we did when we were in Amsterdam together.
Yeah.
Like that restaurant doesn't normally have 600-ounce ribeyes.
Or 600 grams.
600-gram ribeyes.
Yeah.
And otherwise that'd be a big ribeye.
Big ass ribeye, man.
And like we literally warned the restaurant, we're like, hey, we're gonna have about 25 people. We're gonna need at least 20 of these 600-gram ribeyes, and they're like, that's impossible. They're like, no. We guarantee you, we will eat all of them.
Yeah, the guy was like, are you sure you want the 1.1 for yourself? I'm like, yeah. And like he came around and I was like licking the bone. And he's like, yeah, you could clearly finish this.
They learned.
I'm like, dude, this is how we do it in Texas, baby. Yeah. So fun conference, a lot of other events going on. There was also like Bitcoin Embassy. John Dewberry gave a Socratic seminar, so that was another thing. Polstra gave a talk, I think, a bunch of other people. Yeah, there's Giacomo. Yeah, you can tell him about the steak as well.
Yeah. Hi. Oh, yeah, Amir.
Yeah, Amir's here too.
Hey, well, let me see if you guys are in the camera. Oh, he is.
Okay, there we go.
That's a great crew here, really. One of the best.
I know, Leah, where are you?
Well, Leah's like married or something.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't know.
Doxer again. Yeah. Hey, you gotta come back to our show, man.
We have to do that.
Isn't it amazing? Like you actually get rid of your business and you're busier than ever.
That's strange.
No. That's how it works. Once you get unemployed, it's like you're
because
super
when
busy.
you have a business, you have a structure.
Yeah,
and you can
know
make time
when
for shit.
You know when you can fit to the show. And also, you want to interrupt the job in order to, you want to stop
Right,
working,
that's a
so
good
want to
point
do
too.
something
You want to take a break.
And now, without the worker, who is working, that's incredible.
Dude, you look so alpha right now. Like you got wine in one hand and your wife in the other, and like you got
I just
the
miss
whole.
a cigar and I'm jumping
Yeah.
up the level up.
Seriously, you need a steak in front of you though. But otherwise, it's pretty good.
I just want to hang.
Yeah.
I heard about you.
Yeah. No, you should have them on Proof of Love because they got some
me,
love.
but alone.
No,
So, they just
Group
got a
of
show.
love is totally different. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Proof of Love. No, we just had 2 hours
Stick
worth.
your
Yeah.
microphone on the side there, so we got that down
Wait,
there.
you went on?
Yeah, so the two of us were on her show for 2 hours earlier today.
The longest show we ever had. They were laying you down for the lady.
I mean, it's okay, Jimmy. I thought you were more conservative, but that's okay.
No. I was making the argument. If you want to do a long-term relationship, you have to have a long-term mindset, just like Bitcoin. I was like, dump all the shit coins. These are boyfriends or whatever that have no long-term future.
Time preference.
And then have the low time preference to change yourself to attract the right mate. That's it. Yeah, that was my message. Anyway, I should incorporate that into my speech.
Hey, so did you guys chat with Vitalik? Were you in Tel Aviv as well?
Yeah.
Did you guys chat with Vitalik? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I took a selfie with Vitalik for my presentation of Sunday. That would be a pro shitcoin presentation. So he was so kind to take a picture with me to be the cover of my presentation.
All right, so let me see if I got a good impression of Vitalik now. So I've been working on this.
Yeah, pretty realistic. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You can try to
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was, there were a lot of shitcoiners in skating Bitcoin. that could be a bullish sign for Bitcoin away.
Uh-huh.
It can introduce more noise to Bitcoin, but because of, that's basically you are a mic, and it was
Look at that
interesting.
smooth move. He's like looking her in the eyes while he's like looking at like talking into the mic there. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of contamination. Let's say a little bit too open-minded, maybe, but that's a sign that most of shitcoins are dying. So most people is moving back to Bitcoin probably.
Yeah, does feel like that.
All right.
I saw all my shitcoins.
Yes.
You
I've
haven't?
done that years ago.
I don't have like total shitcoin, like a dash. That's not a shitcoin. Do you
Yes,
guys have a
it-
dash?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
shit
it is.
coin. Yeah.
You know what? You know what? You know, look, I shouldn't talk. I sold all my Dash when it reached the high price of $10.
Did we not talk about this on Proof of Love?
Damn it.
Dump your shit coins.
All right.
Ton is the Charlie Lee of Dash.
Yeah, I sold it at $10 and it goes to 1,600. That damn
That's
coin.
painful.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's back down to what, 80 something? I don't know.
Yeah,
even know.
I do have to look at price real quick, guys. And then we can get more interviews. Somebody, I see Peter Todd right there.
Yeah, send you somebody.
Lots of people. Eric Wasco, I've never had him on a podcast. I would like to talk to him about some cool stuff. Anyway, the weekly chart not changing. It's still neutral. Those that have watched my show, we're still in this triangle, and it's not looking good. I was actually, no, it's not. But I spent so I was on the airplane with Murad coming over here. So we were discussing this triangle quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of contact. After next week, I'm going to spend some time with Murad, Willie Woo, and Willie Woo should be here.
Willie's here?
Yeah,
I didn't realize.
I haven't seen him yet, but he's here. He's in Riga. I hope you
Or
guys
the
can
mic
hear
maybe,
me.
yeah, you have to
It's probably-
keep it closer.
Well, I mean, you just talk towards me too.
And Jimmy, at the other microphone. So this is still not looking good to me. Until this proves itself above the triangle, I'm gonna assume Bitcoin is going to break down, and there should be a nice buy the dip situation somewhere down there. We'll talk about it if it actually goes there. This is the daily chart, zoomed out, another daily chart. Again, you can see this triangle forming. Not the best of times right now.
Is it a descending wedge or is
Yeah.
it symmetric?
Descending.
Okay.
Clearly a descending triangle. I don't know how you can argue against it. You can say that we're in a different environment and we're more likely to break out. You can say that descending triangles at the top of a trend versus the bottom of a trend are not as bearish. You can make all those arguments, but making the argument that we don't have a descending triangle is crazy. You can make an argument why you see it and you don't think it's going to go down. That's fine, but not seeing it is a big problem. Here's the 4-hour chart. I didn't even realize we had a 9 here. Maybe I did. I think I did a show yesterday. I don't remember anymore. Again, a bit of a bearish posture. I am a little pessimistic on Bitcoin at the moment, but all we have to do is make it past the halving without any major collapses, and we should be fine. The 15-minute chart holding in there. That's about it. I'm loving this right here. Bitcoin dominance is doing pretty well. It's
Over 70.
I really think the big bull run in Bitcoin just had to do with this exodus out of shitcoins. I greatly underestimated how easy it would be to move the price of Bitcoin up with by exiting your shitcoins, and that's being reflected. Ethereum is going back down. It's 3-year lows, very bad versus Bitcoin. Litecoin, I think, is dead after this last halving. Who the hell would still mine it if there's no actual reward and the price is going down? And of course, our favorite B-Trash making its own descending little triangle here on a weekly scale. But this one is at the bottom of a trend, which means a disaster is imminent for Bcash. The only coin in the top 10 that has outperformed Bitcoin is Binance for 2019. Everything else is down. I want to keep an eye on gold. Gold is not looking good. It remains pulling back. Which I didn't time very well, but silver, my God, there was a 9 on a weekly, and inside that week there was a 9 on a daily, and I made this call pretty much in real time to get the hell out of silver, and that is as textbook as it gets for technical analysis, and you're down 10% in silver, which is actually a lot for a precious metal. So That's the use of TA. S&P 500 about to make new all-time highs. I absolutely love it. And some stocks. We were looking at JCPenney the other day. That would be good for it to pull back. Uber, I'm eyeing Uber, still pulling back, but looks okay. And Lyft, not going to go through the stocks today. And time to plug the financial summit in Bali. Half vacation, half trading education, and half meeting hedge funds.
Is that your Bali thing?
That's the Bali thing, yeah. So this is a very
Man,
high-end.
I need my shit cleans to go up so I can go to Bali.
Very high-end resort in Bali. Your room comes with a daily 60-minute massage.
Really?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Little high time preference here.
A
Little,
little
I don't
bit,
know.
little
I don't
bit.
know.
A little bit. It's only one Bitcoin, Jimmy. It's not that.
Only.
But
That could buy me a used car, man.
but yeah, check it out. These are all. This is a way to connect traders and hedge funds and high net worth individuals all together. So these are the people that are coming. Plus more. These are just the high profile ones on the website. All right, guys. Let's get some more people in here.
All right, I'll go recruit you.
Yeah,
you guys
let's.
go.
Peter Todd's right there.
Peter!
Hey, Peter, come say a few words.
You look so excited.
You have to do technical analysis now.
Technical analysis.
Boom, stacking
All right,
sats.
chart goes up. I happier.
Yeah, that hat is not going to fit his head.
We can fix this.
All right, we got Peter Todd. Were you in Tel Aviv as well for scaling?
No.
No. What's the latest? What are you working on these days?
Well, now you have this really loaded question because like Giacomo's over there, and I was supposed to be working on stuff
Wait,
related
you're
to
not,
his
you're not your
projects.
boss anymore, right?
Well, no.
I'd have to start looking at contracts, figure out like what the relationship there.
I'm his pusher more than you.
You're
I
a
provide
pusher,
some
yeah.
stuff.
Well, so there's this RGB thing, which I was supposed to be doing a review for. But then, of course, when I review things, I tend to my own ideas. So then I'm trying to go push my own stuff. If you're pushing one end, then I'm pushing the other end. Like, you're not pushing the same way.
Hey, can you tell us
That's
about
sparring.
Can you tell us about RGB? That's people would like to know. And there's liquid. How similar is liquid to RGB?
I think there are different. Right now, liquid computational assets is a completely developed solution worked out by Blockstream after 2 years. So it's something state of the art. RGB is not. It's like an experimental thing we are trying to put together. The thing is that RGB is mostly an experiment in a different design, which has a very different security model from a side chain, federated side chains. And it's originally from Peter, and it's the idea that use the blockchain only to provide double spending, and everything else, the chain of proof of everything else, you store and transmit them off chain. So,
Nice, got one.
Yeah.
okay.
Go on.
Well, so the big dream is to be able to do trustless with respect to validity, essentially infinite scaling token transfer. Be able to go and do a bajillion transactions per second of whatever assets you wanted. And the way you can achieve this is essentially to validate the proof that something has happened, that some asset I've given you is real, client side. And if you do that, you can go create data structures where you can go link them back to something like Bitcoin, which ensures that the data structures are unique. But Bitcoin, of course, isn't going to validate, a billion transactions per second. But what you can do is then validate you're part of that data structure. And this whole idea can work basically because of Merkle trees. And if you design a double spending scheme so that where you could have double spent a particular asset is limited, well, when I prove to you that asset hasn't been double spent, I only got to give you part of that data because the where is constrained. It's like saying I'm going to have a set of filing cabinets, and all the ones starting with A are going to be for my particular transactions for my particular little, particular assets token. Well, I only need to direct you to one set of filing cabinets rather than looking through a whole set for double spends.
Would you agree with me that for something to do tomorrow, probably confidential assets is mature enough to be used, while what we are doing is still a few years probably or months in the future.
Depends on your threat model. I mean, if you're unsure about the math behind confidential assets, which is a plausible thing to be unsure of, our stuff might become usable faster. But I think overall the software quality is probably going to be better on Liquid. And most of the concerns about Liquid are things like, does this math actually work? And you'd have to be, I think, fairly paranoid to expect confidential transactions not work. It's a sort of paranoia that would definitely say Zcash doesn't work.
Can you elaborate on that with Zcash?
Well, it's just Zcash's mathematical assumptions are much more exciting, if you will, than say the mathematical assumptions that confidential transactions is based on, versus that in turn the mathematical assumptions that Bitcoiner is based on, which are really boring assumptions that everyone assumes are true.
All right. So what's your view of the Lightning Network these days? I remember we were in, I believe, either Prague or here like a year ago, and we were standing outside. It was cold. It was starting to rain, and you're trying to make a Lightning transaction, and it's not going through. And we're like standing there, like waiting for it. I'm like, guys, you just send it the damn thing normally, and you're like, no, I want to use Lightning. Much better now, huh?
New York.
No, that was definitely one of these Eastern European places.
All right, so maybe it failed more than once.
It was.
I remember.
It was probably. It was obviously.
Yeah.
It was probably Prague.
Yeah. Well, basically, like through sheer force of will and good software engineering, I mean, it seems to be working a lot better. I don't think there's anything in particular that actually changed. It's just, once you get implementations at work.
Oh yeah, you have more nodes all around, and it's easier to go through.
Well, I mean, unlike Bitcoin and Lightning, more nodes with more money, on the nodes actually matters. Bitcoin nodes don't really matter. The only node that matters is your own for the most part. In Lightning, having a bunch of people tying up money there, can make things go work better.
Even if I think we start to seeing the fact that also quality of routes and not just quantity matters.
Well,
you have very low quality nodes that may make routing fail.
I'd also say quality of node implementations. Like when I first started using Lightning, the node implementations didn't work properly. They'd crash all the time. And that's just gotten better over time because they've actually fixed up a lot of the bugs. It's a hard thing because Lightning is relatively complex and there's a lot of states keep track and so on, but through a ton of work, they've pushed those issues out. Now, I'd still say like certain things I'm dubious about. I mean, I think C Lightning was crazy. You just don't write stuff in C anymore. I'm sorry, you just don't. It's stupid. But for the most part, it all seems to be working much better.
All right, so you're a big critic of a lot of things. I'm hearing some people don't like the idea of watchtowers because it removes this independence of a peer-to-peer network. What are your thoughts on watchtowers?
That sounds like BSV propaganda. Like, it's a watchtower. You can run your own if you want. You can run someone, I just do not comprehend how you would go and make that kind of accusation in a way where you wouldn't just go say all of Lightning is bullshit and it's all centralized. Watchtowers are no different than the rest of the Lightning model. And if you wish to use them, go ahead and use them. If you wish to use
real quick, just layman's terms, what's a watchtower?
Well, a watchtower is a node that has the ability to intervene on your behalf to punish failures in the Lightning protocol. And that node could be run by an entity that services, a ton of people. It could be run by yourself. And the key thing being that makes these kind of decisions very easy is that a watchtower node can't take your money. It could, in theory, collude with someone so that someone else could take your money, but it itself can't take your money. Now, this isn't like a security guard where you give the security guard access to your vault. This is more like, the guard dog, which wouldn't know how to go steal a $10 bill if one was soaked in bacon grease.
Also, it's possible that things like watchtower will be needed for other kind of stuff in Lightning, because just like in RGB and the client-side validation model, in Lightning, you cannot back up anything with the seed. you need actually to store and back up a lot of other information, which is not just the seized. And also you have to be online to directly transfer peer-to-peer a lot of off-band information. So just like in RGB, just like in Improve Marshall, you need a place to back up stuff, and you need a way to transmit stuff if the user is if offline. So
I mean, to be clear, the Watchtower concept itself has nothing to do with wallet backups. In practice, you might want to add that service
something
as well.
similar. You will, we will. So the Watchtower has more to do about being online all the time, and the problem with Lighting is the necessity to be online and the necessity to save off-band data, which I think eventually will converge over some kind of privacy respectful service to help other people that are maybe
Well, the thing I'd say
discontinued.
is backups aren't that hard. I mean, storing it on Google Drive is fine because you just encrypt it with a wallet seed. This isn't really a big issue. It's a little harder than Bitcoin right now, but overall it's not that hard of an issue. The 24/7 that Watchtower really should be online, actually go see what's going on. That's the bigger issue. Although at least it's not a issue in the sense that Watchtowers are likely to be DOS attack targets. Because a Watchtower, nobody needs to connect to it. It acts on your behalf based on things it observes. But the rest of the Lightning Network doesn't need to connect to it.
All right. Any other questions for Peter? Or we'll get somebody else.
When do you launch the Proof Marshall coin? I mean, we want the pre-sale.
Sure, just give me money. I'll give you as much rights to the Proof Marshall, protocol as any other ICO, namely nothing.
All right, very cool. Maybe we can get Max Kaiser in here. Hey, Max, want to say a few words? I got to look around for who else I can grab next. It's Eric Bosco.
Yeah.
Who's Eric? Who's Eric talking to?
Alex Smith from my page.
Oh yeah, I thought that was familiar. Cool. Hey, thanks, Peter. All right, there you go. Hey. All right, Max, slide over this way a little bit. There you are.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, we do it. There he
Yeah,
is.
do it.
How are you, man? How's it going?
I'm feeling awesome.
You guys still have your show running?
It's just getting
How many years has it been?
10 years,
Wow.
So the thing is that back in 2008, 2009, during the crisis, we've developed a really big audience. And then to 2009, 10, 11, 12 forward, stock market was going up. We started covering Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is very early, and we held our audience. Now in 2019, 2020, the markets are about to crash again. They're crashing right now, negative interest rates, people are confused. So our audience is booming. Our audience in Spanish-speaking Latin America is booming. We're getting more views on our Spanish dubbed Kaiser report than we get in the English version.
Wow.
We're going on a big tour in Latin America coming up in a few weeks. So things are booming at Kaiser report.
How long is that tour going to be?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in Latin America every year for the Latin American Bitcoin Conference. I'll be in Uruguay this December.
Right.
I haven't been there yet. No, that's great. Now, I will disagree with you on the stock market. I think we're going way higher.
Okay.
I think that people are getting scared and they're getting nervous, but I think the markets are going to go higher. Negative interest rates or not. In fact, negative interest rates, I think, can drive more capital into the stock market to speculate because they don't want the government to take their money by keeping it at a bank. They see the stock market booming, they're going to pile in more.
Right. You have a case for that. You have a melt up in stock prices, which is a classic end of a cycle move all the time. The money is getting cheaper. Negative interest rates, you're being paid to speculate, which is, of course, going to drive a lot of speculation. But when you look underneath the surface, you see things like the WeWork IPO. The originally it's going to go out at 47 billion. It's been scaled back to 10 billion. So all the venture capitalized venture unicorns that were set up to go public now are all going to be marked down by 60, 70, 80%. That's a huge event in these markets, number one. Number two, it's always, Tom, we've talked about this before, there's a huge connection to which way the dollar is going. And the dollar has been strong. And I think that strength is going to come to an end soon because I think we're going to see China, Russia come out with a gold-backed currency. and suck up a lot of capital from around the world into a new Russia-China gold-backed currency. But for the moment, I have to agree. I mean, the trend is definitely on the upside.
Speaking of gold and your favorite silver,
Yes.
we had a big run,
Yes.
and they've been pulling back. Last week, silver hit a critical technical analysis point, is down 10%, still up for the year very nicely. What are your views on gold and silver now?
Well, you know, we were in gold and silver before Bitcoin. That's how we got Trace Mayer. I followed him before Bitcoin. We were the first people to get Dina Moose's Bitcoin. He was a gold guy, and we got him into Bitcoin. And then we have always been following
They
gold.
got me into Bitcoin also. I was
We got-
also a gold and silver guy back then.
Right.
You didn't know me, but I was watching your show.
Right. So you know the connection is hard money to hard money is the way we've always looked at it. And what we see in gold market is gold hitting new all-time highs against almost every currency in the world, against the euro, against the Indian rupee, against the British pound. It's gone up 400% against the Brazilian real. It's gone up against all except the U.S. dollar.
Right.
And we're going to see a U.S. dollar new all-time high soon. And if you look at a basket of currencies, it's already trading at a new all-time high. Silver is a high beta play. It's gold's crazy cousin. And when you have that 80 to 90% gold to silver ratio, which got to an historic gap, you're going to see that collapse back to a more historic 30. So you've got the bull market in metals plus a contraction in the gold silver ratio will mean silver does very, very well. You know, we had a price target on silver very, very high at one point.
Have you scaled it back a little bit? Yes, I know your price target of silver. Have you scaled it back a little bit?
Well, we did crash JP Morgan buy silver when it was 15 and it rode to 50. And at that time, you had a price target of above 50. You know, and then you had the move retraction. Dollar rallied spectacularly. Silver got back down to 13.5, 14. Now it's back in a bull phase. So, yeah, I think you're going to see over 50. 50 was a very aggressive price for silver. But if that, you got a combined bull market in metals plus the contraction of the gold silver ratio takes it a lot higher. But I think if you ask me what the big black swan event's going to be in these global markets to be a trend changer and a paradigm changer, it's going to be this gold backed currency by China, Russia. Russia is now got, they're the number 3 biggest gold holder in the world. They've got no debt at all now. And they're poised to do very well going forward.
Max, here's my problem with this, right?
Yeah.
I don't think the world is gonna care that Russian currency is backed by gold. And because the world is not gonna trust the Russian government to actually A, keep the peg, and B, give you the gold if you want to turn in your Russian currency, right? So it's not just about telling the world that it's backed by X. Like Maduro in Venezuela has told the world that his cryptocurrency is backed by oil.
Right.
No one cares because no one trusts him to actually do it, right? So,
Right.
so the only way the Russian gold peg currency is going to be a global player is if the world trusts Putin to actually hand you the gold if you want to turn in the currency.
It's not so much that you need the world to trust Putin. All you need is for China to trust Putin, because China, Russia, I'm saying, would come out with a gold-backed currency to service their region and to diversify themselves out of the U.S. dollar. The Belt and Road Initiative that they're building that will connect, I think, Germany, Russia, and China. So it's an entire sweep of that entire region. They're building an entire new economy. They're sinking tens of trillions of dollars, hundreds of trillions of dollars into this thing. And they are seceding from the global economy. There's only 3 economies in the world that are not part of NATO of any significance: Russia, China, and Iran. You know, this is why the U.S. has always targeted these 3 countries for regime change, etc. And because they're not part of NATO. They do have the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is a mutual trade and defense pact between India, Russia, China, and Iran. And the U.S. dollar is seen now as the impediment to growth for these countries. They want to get out of the U.S. dollar. They're diversifying out of the dollar. And we're going to go to a post. Even the Bank of England, Mark Carney, said last week he thinks that world should move away from a U.S. dollar reserve currency status. He's a main central banker lambasting the dollar. So these central banks are getting ready to move away from the U.S. dollar. That is the paradigm change we're going to see. It's good for metals. It's good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin is hard money.
All right, so let's change gears back to the crypto space.
Yes.
And we have seen Bitcoin dominance fall as low as 35% in early 2018.
Yeah.
And then it's up from 50% all the way up to 72 now here in 2019. I believe that's been the biggest driver in the rise in the price of Bitcoin. And I've watched your evolution go from Bitcoin only being very high on altcoins. And what I've seen in the last year or two, you're becoming more and more of a Bitcoin maximalist, I should say. What is your overall thinking on Bitcoin versus other coins these days?
Right. You know, I'd say that's a good analysis of it all. You know, we came in at Bitcoin in 2011. In 2014, there was an explosion of altcoins.
Yes, I was an altcoin fan in early 2014, and by end of 2014, I saw the light.
Right. Okay. So 2014, 15, 16, and 17. 2017 became the bull market of altcoins and ICOs, and it spectacularly flamed out. And at that point, we started to see a reversion back to the mean. All of the thinking at 2014 was, if you recall, you know, Vitalik was saying he invented Bitcoin maximalism. That was his term.
Yes.
As a way to insult Bitcoiners. He was unhappy with the pace of development with Bitcoin Core. So they went over and did Ethereum. Now, everyone was frustrated with Bitcoin, and you had the hard forks. You had the altcoins. Now, during that time, the Bitcoin has scaled. SegWit was approved thanks to you guys over there, World Crypto Network and Samson Mao.
Yeah, that was a big battle.
Right, that was the key battle. I think that may have been the defining moment for me as well, when I started to realize that the altcoin market, anything that they were trying to accomplish now was going to start to recede, because Bitcoin, after all, has the highest hash rate. It's got the most, scalability now. It's the most secure, and it's being seen as a risk-off safe haven asset, which is bringing in a lot of capital. But yeah, so now we're going to go back to a Bitcoin 80, 85, 90% dominance. I think the altcoin market as such is finished. If you remember the dot-com days, you had the dot-com run up in the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a spectacular crash, I think it was 2001. The NASDAQ dropped 80 or 90%, lost $5 trillion. And hundreds of companies went bust. 2 or 3 survived. Google, Amazon, Facebook came a couple of years later, but they had the majors survive. So similarly, we had the spectacular crash in coins in 2018. Now we're going to have a few majors survive. So the Bitcoin obviously will be the leader. You might have 2 or 3 projects with one or another could materialize as being attract some attention. But the idea of having 50, there were 45 coins with a valuation of $1 billion or above at one point. That's now down to 13 coins, I believe. I think we're not going to see that number expand. And I think all of the altcoiners who are, waiting for a rally to come back, I don't think they understand the dynamics really of these markets.
All right, very cool.
All right,
Thank you,
dude.
Max, I won't take up any more of your time. I'm going to go grab someone else.
Yeah, do it.
And see you at the conference tomorrow.
All right, Tom.
Enjoy your meal. Let me get, love to get Eric Bosco. Hold on, guys. I got to grab people. I got to get I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab Eric. Enjoy a little break. I'll be right back. All right, Eric Bosco is going to come by in a few minutes. I got Alex Petrov right here. We'll grab him next. I'll find out the latest on the mining scene. And let me do it with a live chat. Maybe there's anything interesting going on. I forgot to ask him about MaxCoin. Too bad. Yeah, Eric Bosco is going to be interesting. Those of you that aren't familiar with Eric Bosco's work. Let's take a look at the price. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit nervous again about the price. Oh shit, there it goes. Yeah, hey, Gene, we just fell $100 in the price of Bitcoin just now. Fell $100. Yep, 10-2. Yeah, it just dropped right there. Broke set up trend line on the 15-minute chart. Oh, really? You know what? Hey, Max, what was that? Salmon? That was good. Oh, let me see. This side, that side. Yeah, order me something.
My hearing's not very good, so
Oh, you don't have to hear anything.
I hope I can
Just for me.
just talk.
Yeah. No, it's let me stop screen share here. Eric, you have any, you know what? You have any websites I can pull up?
Website. So just do the GitHub LeBitcoin site.
LA.
GitHub.com/LeBitcoin. Just do GitHub.com/LeBitcoin.
LA Bitcoin?
LIBD. Live Bitcoin.
Oh, LAR.
LIB.
LRB. Oh, the Bitcoin. Got
Live
it.
Bitcoin, right?
I should have known that.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
/LeBitcoin.
Again?
Yep. Dash system / wiki.
Let's see if this works. Or I'm just
Yeah,
wrong.
that's
Nope, I screwed something up.
Wi-Fi.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Put Wi-Fi at the end. It's wiki.
My bad.
It's habit, right?
This
All right.
there
So
it is.
yeah, if you go. So this is the scroll down there. That's the system slider, but this is where I put all my writing.
Oh, nice.
I got like 95 topics in here, so this is
Beautiful. I want black market money. You have something on that?
The axiom of resistance, maybe. Oh no, I did write one called risk sharing. That's one. Maybe censorship resistance property down here. It's up. They're not very well ordered. There you go. Censorship resistance right here.
Got it. Let's open that up.
I think that's the one where I mentioned.
The state must consume taxes to at least the level of the fee premium to maintain censorship enforcement. I want to talk to you about Bitcoin being black market money.
Are we on now?
Yeah, we've been on.
All right.
We're always on. I've seen a couple of your presentations, and very interesting. You pull up the original ideas on scaling from Hal Finney to others about how Bitcoin can scale, and you have very unique views on, the governments will never, ever accept Bitcoin.
No. So I never make predictions about what will or will not happen. I just talk about what the architecture of Bitcoin implies, and what
Go on.
so the architecture of Bitcoin implies a certain security model, right? And it's defending against certain things. And so I talk about what that implies. I'm not talking about what people will or won't do. I'm saying if they do this, which they might want to do, then we expect this to happen, right? So
So what path do you like? What have you seen? Let me ask you this question: then. Are you happy with the path that Bitcoin has been on, from development to the way it's currently working in the world?
Well, I'm happy that I can use it in certain ways that are beneficial to me, which I think it was designed to do. It works. In terms of, achieving some large-scale white market adoption, I don't really care because I don't think has any security model, so I don't worry about that too much. I'd like to see more use black market-wise, but who knows?
So talk about your background. You've been in the space for a while. You got
6
involved in
years.
like 2012.
No, not quite that early. It's about 6 years, about 2013, late 2013.
Okay, so same as me, pretty much. I got around the same time, 2013. All right. And what drove you to it?
Okay. There's a short version and a long version. Medium version?
Medium version is great.
All right, medium version. Got a computer science degree, went to IBM, was really bored, went into the Navy, did 10 years flying airplanes and having fun. And somewhere in there, I decided I was a libertarian and spent about 20 plus years as a card carrying member of the American Libertarian Party. And during that time, studied and continued to study economics and theory and stuff. During that period, I discovered in the mid 90s PGP, DigiCash. I met David Schoen the other day in Berlin. Yeah, we both spoke at Web3, and Richard Stallman too.
I'll ask you about what you think of him creating his own currency, but that's it.
You mean shitcoin?
Yeah,
I'm just kidding, David.
No, it's exactly
I'm just
what I
kidding, man. So we actually talked about that. The fact that I had contacted his company. There was a guy on one of the patents that I had read for DigiCash who has my name. I'm Dutch, and they were based in Amsterdam. And he hired a college grad who's named Eric Vosco.
Oh.
Except his first name was spelled with a K. But I thought that was very interesting, so I sent him an email, and this is like 93 or 4 or 5, I don't know. And so I never got a response, but I told David about that the other day. Thought it was funny. So I had a background. I had understanding of the kind of the original attempts at digital currency and cryptography. Back in the early 90s, I read Applied Cryptography. I was all into it, but I was still in the Navy. So eventually I left to do a startup company and software. Did pretty well with a couple of those. But during this period, there were these different attempts at digital currencies, and I kind of ignored them because of my experience with DigiCash. And I was doing my third startup, which eventually I closed down. And literally on the same day that I was shutting it down, I found the Forbes magazine article on the Silk Road, which was written by Andy Greenberg, who's now at Wired. And I met Andy later, and I will talk about it. He's a great guy. He writes good stuff on the cypherpunk beat. Anyway, after I read that article, I went straight to the white paper. So within one day of shutting down my company and deciding I was never going to do this again, I started working again on Bitcoin. Grabbed one of the guys that I'd worked with at Microsoft and then at my third startup, and we both together have been working on this ever since that day. Because I was able to recognize right away, because of my background, that it was different and interesting. So within another 2 days, I found LibBitcoin, something I wanted to work on in Bitcoin.
Yeah, tell us about that. But this was the picture I was just searching for. I'm gonna do a screen share. And this is specific to David Schramm's coin.
So
I'll screen share it off for the audience. But yeah, go on.
So my understanding of what David's doing is not as much about a coin. It's about private communication and messaging architecture. So his work was much broader than digital currency. He wrote volumes on digital privacy, and that's still his passion, I think. So he's attempting to tie in
digital currency with communication, because if you don't have private communication, you can't communicate your currency, basically. He gave a presentation at Web3 in Berlin a few weeks ago on this. I think it was the first presentation. It was interesting. I got invited to speak because I know the people that run the conference. It's a privacy conference, not a Bitcoin thing, but they had a bunch of blockchainers there, but there was no Bitcoin people there, so they invited me to speak. And I spoke on the same day as David Chom, Richard Stallman, and Ed Snowden.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Of course, Snowden was remote, but he was interacting with the audience, which is very cool. So I was very humbled by that experience. But I told them all how Bitcoin was a black market money, and and how all their blockchainy things that didn't have a security model in the black market were not likely to prevail.
All right, very cool. So what do you? What's the future looking like for you?
Lots of travel. As I've been to 80 countries so far. I'm trying to get them all. On a motorcycle as much as I can. I just came from Tel Aviv, where I rented a bike and I rode around there. But I'd already been to Israel.
Did you come here by bike from Tel Aviv?
No, I Air Baltic. But I wish.
That'd be impressive.
No, I did 2,500 miles in Europe in June from London in a big circle. So I did breaking in Amsterdam and did an outdoor concert in Neuchâtel. And so I did Saigon to Hanoi in February. I did.
You drove the bike from Saigon to Hanoi.
Yeah,
a
Vietnamese made 125. It was painful.
Oh wow!
Biggest bike I could find. And in early February, I did 2,500 miles in northern Thailand. I'm going to do Colombia coming up in January. I've done Mongolia, India, Mexico, all over the U.S. So I like to ride, and I'm getting more into it. I'm rebuilding my my old college motorcycle, making a cafe racer out of it, and do some more riding in the U.S. So yeah, the riding's a big thing. Getting a lot of countries in, and still working on the Bitcoin. But my main focus has been, in this space, has been to advance the crypto economic stuff. So maybe actually do a conference at some point.
All right. Well, we're doing Understanding Bitcoin conference in Malta. That's the one I did last year.
I heard about that. Yeah. I've never been to Malta, so.
Yeah, there you go.
81.
It'll be in May, late May after consensus, and all the presentations are mostly about, the usability features of Bitcoin with some panels, and we'd love some input on that view, like Bitcoin's risk model.
Threat model.
Bitcoin's use case and how the black market actually helps prevent the threats on Bitcoin.
Well,
so that'd be cool. Think about it.
Thanks for the invite. I'll be there.
Awesome. All right, thanks a lot. If you have anything else to add, go for it. The floor is yours.
No, I'm good. I can talk forever, and I don't want to take up all your time.
All right, I actually want to hang out with people too, so I'm gonna try and get Alex Petrov. He's hanging out with Giacomo right now. Shouldn't be hard to get. Thanks, Eric. I've been seeing you a lot lately, and I saw you in Amsterdam right after that event. We both spoke at Bitcoin Wednesday.
At first, I didn't recognize you.
Oh yeah, my hair keeps changing.
I like it. I used to have a Mohican. I was ahead of myself. I was gonna compliment you on that.
Thank you.
I'm getting too thin for that now.
I know. I should gain a little bit of weight.
No, my hair's getting too thin.
Oh no!
You got a little fat strap.
You have more hair than me, man. All right. Hey, Giacomo.
Okay.
Yeah, just need Alex there. Hey, Alex. Pull up a seat. Always a pleasure, Alex. There you go. There we go. Always a pleasure to have Alex.
What is in your mind? What is in your mind?
What's in my mind? No, I mean, I want to hear the latest on mining. Hash rate's going through the roof. And we just hit a new all-time high in hash rate. And to me, it's obvious that it's just a combination of a nice high Bitcoin price, along with everyone trying to get that last 12.5 Bitcoin mining reward. because the halving is not that far away. So now is the time to really, get get that supply chain up and running to get your miners connected as soon as possible. What are your views on the current mining situation?
So if you like to take the Bitcoin, so the mining is more complicated way because it's a business. It's not just like turning the iron in the socket. It doesn't bring you money. So all the mining operations, it's very complicated business. It's work 24/7. If people would like to get the Bitcoin before halving, before price rise up, I think buying is most simplest way instead of mining. And the mining, that's normal operations, what protecting all Bitcoin network by itself. Miners, like any business runners, they look at for profit, and it's like some kind of symbiosis and equilibrium in ecosystem. They're doing their part of the work, processing transactions, and they're getting paid. And initially, the reward is creating the emission of the Bitcoin and creating the interest, like pushing the new coins in the system and giving them access giving access for users. But during the time, if the amount of transactions will start to increase, then the fee will replace reward during the time. The miners, they optimizing infrastructure because the mining, it's like any infrastructure they have.
It's a little loud here. I'm looking at the audio volume, so you got to go like that. Yeah.
So, like any infrastructure, they have infrastructure has operational expenses. And you can optimize the software to get the better throughput, better amount of transaction per second, or better features. And at the same level, the same happening in Bitcoin mining. Optimizing the mining equipment, the miners practically forced by concurrency between the miners. They're optimizing the hardware, offering us the better service for lower payment. So right now, multiple mining companies, they reach almost the highest point of the technology. Right now, there is no more space, almost no more space, how to optimize the mining equipment. Almost all of optimizations and small features are done, but different companies did it in their own way. And right now, maybe some of them will be still able to win a couple of percents, but forward only if they combine their knowledge, they can reach higher optimizations.
Got it. All right, so I got a lot of other questions when it comes to mining. What have you seen jurisdiction-wise? What are the new hotspots, the new hot regions that people are trying to open Bitcoin mines in, like globally? Georgia, I believe, is still popular. I'm actually going to Georgia. From here, I'm going to Azerbaijan, but then I'm going down to Georgia. I hear Georgia is still very popular for mining. And have you noticed any regions becoming more popular and other regions becoming less popular?
So the primary source for mining is still Hydra.
Is it what?
It's still Hydra electric stations. So the Hydra electrical energy is more cleanest one, and it's more cheapest and available. The mining need the constant electricity, and then the Hydro plants is built. They are built with some resource. If, for example, city consuming like 75%, then electrical station have 25-30% resource. And for miners, it's the best way to get the stable electricity at lower price than the electricity from the hydroelectric station is not used. The Georgia is one of that potential countries. Azerbaijan, you mentioned, also quite nice location. This is also explaining why in China, in Hsinchu province, they are using a lot of mining because they have a lot of hydro electric stations,
And during the spring season, they get a lot of electricity. They are not able to sell it, but the miners are ready to consume it. The regulations and the country, it's one of the aspects what you also should keep and analyze when you trying to start the mining operations, because you should analyze the economical stability, the government, what they are promising, what the taxations, how they are thinking about the mining, what they're thinking about the cryptocurrencies. If they are negative, you're putting your equipment, all your business under huge risk. And that's what normally happens. People are looking for better jurisdictions, they are looking for better prices and better obstacles.
All right, let me ask you one more mining question, and then I want to ask you about proof of stake, because you and I discussed on a cruise, never got it on camera. So I am of the position that all altcoins that use proof of work mining are in serious trouble. For example, Litecoin just had a halving. Litecoin price is not going up. It's actually going down against Bitcoin. And because all of these altcoins, they don't really have longevity. And if they are dependent on miners securing their chain, and I think that every halving in an altcoin is like the death is like one step closer to the death of the altcoin. There is not going to be any research and development into new altcoin miners. And I think like if Litecoin survives to the next halving, that might be the last halving it'll ever have. Because if the reward keeps getting cut, but the value of that coin is not rising, they have no security. Who's going to be mining it? And I think any altcoin that has proof of work mining is basically dead. They either got to convert to proof of stake, which is going to be our next discussion point, or they got to merge mine with Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on that view?
So first of all, you're right. If the any coin trying to create like economy and they choosing the mining algorithm, which is very, very complicated, and it's very technically complicated thing how to implement it, and it costs like a lot of money, a lot of resources for miners to create the equipment, then it's logically create all the infrastructure less efficient, and they're facing the risk, then the mining will be not profitable at the same point. A lot of the coins, they go to zero exactly like you described. After some, like crossing some line, there is no any more miners who are interested to perform very heavy work. They doesn't get enough reward, and the coin is just collapsing because they are losing this protection barrier. So uh, also talking about the altcoins, they also should mention if it doesn't have a real economy, if it doesn't have a real use of the coin, if it doesn't have the services or goods sold for a coin, so there no real usage. All the pumps, dumps, all the like exchange rates, it's only the additional economy, like values. Uh, the, the initial value is created only by services and goods. If you have economy turnover, then the coin can survive. If there is no economy, if there is no users, they are useless. And in this case, I'm absolutely agree. So most of the altcoins, they doesn't survive.
All right, and final question, and I'll let you get back to the party. Actually, I'm probably going to shut down the video because I want to chat with some people too. Your views on proof of stake?
So proof of stake can work. It's also can provide a protection, but it's much cheaper and it's more vulnerable protection for a blockchain. First of all, because you're using the software and you're using also like full nodes and coins and performing any staking, any proof of stake, it's require you to lock a lot of accounts exactly to operate proof of stake. It's meaning if you have like 100% of all the coins, you are not able to operate if you're spending 40% of the coins for proof of stake operations. But you should still generate the reward, and this reward you should generate using the smaller amount of the coins in the economy. It's like locking a lot of funds just to providing proof of stakes. Proof of stake has also a lot of like potential vulnerabilities and weaknesses. So first of all, you cannot prevent forking. You can easily create a lot of forks. You can also use the perverse inputs, and it's very hard to verify in a proof of stake the perverse inputs, and you can reuse the funds. You can send the funds from one wallet to another one wallet to another one wallet to another one wallet, and use all the inputs like a proof that you have enough coins on your wallet for proof of staking. It's also quite dependent from the network architecture, because if you have small amount of full nodes, then you can easily impact the full nodes, increase like the temperature in the hospital, and impact the proof of stake working and functionality.
All right, there you go. You guys heard it from Alex Petrov on his views on proof of stake, because other people have asked. All right, anything else you want to add? Any big news coming out of BitFury anytime soon? And we'll let you go.
So the BitFury never announcing, BitFury never announcing anything before it's not done. It's not interesting. So just follow the news, and we will post everything. There is some news is definitely coming, and I hope you will be surprised.
All right, awesome. Well, looking forward to that. Alex, always a pleasure. Great seeing you here. And I'll see you at the conference.
See you.
All right, guys, I'm going to take a look at the price of Bitcoin one more time, and then we're going to call it a day. Hey, Bali, don't forget about Bali. We still got some room. I would love for this to sell out. There's only 30 people, only room for 30 people here. And check it out. Bali, I haven't told about my own website. Workshop and Bucharest. Anyway, check out tonebase.com for that. I'll just go to the workshops. The only other thing I'm offering right now is the in-person workshop in Bucharest. And if you're looking for the indicator, just click indicator. Calendar from here, from the Baltic Honey Badger, I am off to Baku, and then I am off to Georgia, and then maybe Ukraine, I'm not sure yet. And then I'll be at Hackers Congress. All right, price of Bitcoin. Not good, guys. We are continuing our path down back towards the $9,000 range, the low 10,000s. We are still in this triangle. As long as, Jesus, where is it? As long as we are in this triangle, the more likely path is down. We have to get out of the triangle. As long as we're in the triangle, I'm always going to expect a breakdown. So we'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully it won't happen for another month or so. So you have plenty of time and plenty of warning. All right, on this note, I'm going to call it a day. Lots more people that I see here. Rodolfo's here, McCormick. All right, I was going to sign off, but I can't now.
What do I do?
You're going to just hold that next to your mouth. What are you drinking?
Whiskey.
All right. Peter McCormick is joining us. How's it
Base.
going, man?
All right, man. How are you?
Podcast is doing good and more popular than ever.
Yeah, it's going. It's doing well, man.
I know, you're doing a lot of traveling now, doing a lot of moderation and speaking.
Yeah.
You liking the travel game?
You know what it's like, man. Like, you think it's going to be great, and then you do a lot, and then you suddenly... And I'm not rich, so I'm like in the shit economy seats at the back. Like that.
Dude, I was as well on the Ukrainian flight. And that was rough. Oh, nice. Perfect. You keep the bread, too. Boom. Shout out to Jimmy's song. Check that out. We got a little tartar going right here. I know, that's a quail egg.
Fair market.
All right, I'm going to eat this right after. Yeah, no, I was in the cheap seats on Ukrainian Airlines. The plane was from the 70s. They had one TV in the middle on the ceiling. So that's how I flew out here, man.
From where?
From the US. So it was like a 10-hour flight.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck that. Well, you're
Yeah.
like a 757.
No, 767.
That's an old plane.
It is an old plane. I know. It was rough. I really regret it I really regretted not paying for business on that one.
I
That
never
one
paid for
hurt.
business.
That one hurt. That one
Never
hurt.
pay for business. I can't afford that shit. It's too expensive.
That one hurt. Like, I didn't want to do it because it's expensive, but I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, oh, that was painful.
I've flown business twice in my life, and both times they were upgrades with like points and
Oh,
shit.
that's it.
I'm in the back. I'm with all the poor people. We're all there being poor.
Where are you going from here?
From here, I go back to Bedford. Got 2 days hanging out with my kids, and then I'm going out to the Wire Hackathon in Wyoming. And then
Oh, I don't even know about that one. What is this?
It's Caitlin Long's event in Wyoming.
Wyoming.
Yeah, it's the Wyo Hackathon, so I'm going to that.
Oh.
And then I'm going to Crypto Springs. You'll hate that.
Oh, that'll be funny.
Yeah, and then I'm
Enjoy.
going.
I'm skipping that one.
Then we're going to LA, and then I'll be back in London. Then I might be going to North Korea.
Oh, you're not really?
Yeah, maybe.
Are you allowed?
I think so.
I'm gonna find out.
I'm gonna try.
You're UK national. Yeah.
I'm gonna try that.
I'm not allowed.
And then I'm going to. Where am I going after that?
You're not gonna make it to Hackers Congress in Prague?
When is that?
October like 4 to 7.
Doubt it. That if I go to North Korea, that's where I'll be.
Right.
And if
I
not
would
that,
love to hear about that.
yeah, it'd be cool.
How is that like you're going or is it kind of a tour? Like
No,
what's
just,
going on?
just me going. I just want to go. I just want to see it.
I would love to go and like see it.
Yeah, I want to see it. And then I'm going out to CIS. No, I'm going out to Ohio. I'm doing an event with Dropbit with Max and Stacy. And then I'm going to CIS. And then I'm doing the Freedom Forum with the Human Rights Foundation in
Nice.
New York.
You're doing a lot, man.
Launching a new show, man.
When is that one?
Defiance.
No, when? When is that?
October 6th. I launched that.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
no,
no, I'm not gonna do
no. That's October 23rd. But I launched the new show October 6th.
Got it.
All about like human rights.
Wait,
and
are
shit.
you gonna be? I'm coming to London. Are you gonna be in London October 13, 14 to 16?
No,
for
I'll
CC
be in
Forum?
LA.
You're gonna be in LA. I'll be in London. All right.
I miss you, man. So how have you been?
Good. Just traveling. Keep doing this.
How's this going?
Doing okay.
Is this trading?
Yeah, that was. I'm not happy with the price of Bitcoin right now.
You're not. Why? You want it higher?
Well, we all want it higher, but people think I want it lower. I don't want it lower. I just think it's going lower because I don't like this triangle.
Right.
The
Okay.
price has been in this triangle.
I like triangles.
I do too. If this thing was upside down, that'd be great.
Okay.
But the more likely outcome is to break at the bottom of the triangle and go down.
Is this that number? Is this like this count? What's this count to 9 stuff? I've seen this before.
Yeah.
What's this 9 shit?
That deals with human psychology.
Right. So when we get to 9, do we buy or do we sell?
Well, if you get to 9 at the top, you usually buy, you usually sell. When you get to 9 at the bottom right there, you would buy.
What happens if you get to 8?
You may want to prepare and wait for the 9. So right there, see there was a 9 right there at the bottom.
But what happens if you get to an 8 at the bottom? It goes up 9. You're fucked. You can't do anything.
No, I mean, it's not as clean of a trade, but you can buy this 9 and it would nice.
Why
you know?
9? This is like the reverse of Spinal
and then
Tap.
there was a 9 right on the top right there, and that was the nice sell point.
But why 9? What's the deal?
I don't know, but it's an indicator that Wall Street fell in love with 20, 30 years ago, and I've been using it forever to
They're
trade
like 9.
with.
You know, you should go like Spinal Tap. You should go to 11.
Yeah,
When it goes to 11, you always buy.
it's possible.
So how's the trading going? Are you making money? Are you losing money?
I'm too busy to trade, man. I'm on a travel scene. But
Right.
I'm itching to go back to trading. But if I do, I'm going to probably trade traditional markets. I have a better handle on those. And also, I don't want to put my Bitcoin at risk on some unregulated exchange. So I'd rather hold on my Bitcoin in a hardware wallet and trade the shit coins of stock market.
Are you running a node?
I am running a node.
What kind of node you got?
Just an old laptop.
Ah, okay. You're not got like a castle or a noddle.
No, I haven't gotten one of those yet.
You haven't got a lightning node.
No, am I seeing the no, I have some Lightning wallets on my phone.
You need a lightning node.
I know. I'm traveling too much. I haven't been able to sit down and put it all together.
You're a bad Bitcoiner, you know.
I know. I'm running. I do have Lightning apps. I use Blue Wallet, but that's not a yellow node, so that doesn't count.
Big shout out to Crypto finally.
Yes, Crypto finally.
What's going on there, man? Are you and her romantically involved?
No, we're just friends.
You're just friends, yeah. She's a nice girl, right?
Girl Finally is awesome.
I saw you two on a unicorn together.
Yes.
I was like, is this love?
That started a lot of rumors.
Did it? It's just nothing in it.
I'm in the public life enough. I really like to keep my private life private.
Okay.
The little of it that exists. But wow, I'm getting tough questions on my own podcast.
Have you kissed her?
Killing me. We're gonna end it here.
Are we still on?
We're always on.
All right. Did anyone watch it?
I gotta. And I always worry about getting some scammer on here. This is
scammer.
worse.
I was scammer. So if you were gonna buy 3 shitcoins, what would you buy?
Oh God, no, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I'd rather hold like other stuff, like gold and silver. You know, like I would never.
Is it silver or ship metal?
It is a ship metal, but I'd rather hold the ship metal.
Okay.
At least I can make jewelry out of it when it's all said and done, right? Or silverware, where the term came from. But yeah, I wouldn't touch any shitcoin.
Okay.
I really wouldn't. How many you have still? How many you have left still?
No, I've got the only ones I've got left are like my old Ethereum wallet. You know, they used to airdrop you shit, like stuff I've never sold because it's worth like $1. And I've got some Monero in a wallet that I haven't been able to sell because every time I've tried to transfer it out, I get an error, and that's it. Like I want to sell it. I'm Bitcoin only, but that's it. Yeah, man. Bitcoin only. Not got much left. It's all dying.
Who you got coming up on your show?
Right. So I've just had Balaji on. Did a 2-part with him.
Who'd you have on?
Balaji.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
From X-Coinbase A16Z. Next week I got 2 shows coming out. I got one with Ragnar talking about Bitcoin and guns.
All right.
It was a cool show. That was a cool one. Really like that guy actually.
Cool. Yeah, Ragnar's cool.
But Dan Held.
Yeah, Dan Hell's very cool.
I'm working on a few biggies.
I'm surprised if he's not here. I'm assuming he's gonna be here.
No, I don't know, man. I'm working on my beginner's guide coming out. I've got my new show coming out, Defiance, which is all about. It's got Bitcoin in it, but it's all about censorship and human rights and sex workers and bullshit. So yeah, loads coming up, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, since you're on the travel scene, come out, save February.
February, what's going on?
February for me, Unconfiscatable.
Like the next, like round 2.
Yep, round 2. You play poker?
Yeah, I was in the last one, for fuck's sake.
Oh, you play, that's right, you were there. Fuck. I forget who's at my own conferences.
Same venue, same deal?
Yep, same thing, same venue, but the poker game's in a different place.
This is last year's, people.
It is. We're going to update this.
If you put me on there, I'll come.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Give me a like, I want to be a card.
World of Rusty, if you're watching, my graphic designer, McCormick, up here.
Do it.
The dates are set. I'll see you at the poker game. This year, the tournament is going to be at the Binions Horseshoe, the original place at the World Series of Poker.
Joe, actually, I gotta say, it was a fucking great conference. Like, you smashed it. It was a great conference. Loved it. One of the best I've been to.
Thank you. It's going to be better this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. We're going to kill it.
All right, man.
All right, man. Thanks again.
Rock on.
And see you tomorrow. Man, Peter McCormick giving Tone shit on his own YouTube channel. All right. Hey, guys, we're going to shut this down. I want to enjoy my tartar. I want to hang out and chat with some people. And I may or may not be a video tomorrow. We'll all find out together. And see you all on the next one.